Okay, if it holds. Shutdown. This confuses me. And again, right now, people are back to saying, despite the vote yesterday on the defense bill, maybe because of it, this is now going to go to the end of October. That's sort of where the sentiment is now that everybody's left town and there's no sign of talks. But again, this is what's confusing me. It seemed to me for a long time the deal's clear. There aren't 17 things to deal with. There's one thing to deal with. How do you get Democrats comfortable to reopen the government without an explicit connection to a vote on health care? And here's John Thune last night on the NewsHour. I don't know why John Thune's on the NewsHour, but that's a whole other show. Here's John Thune on the NewsHour laying the whole thing out. Roll 108, please.
Well, I think at the end of the day, now what's going to have to happen is it's going to take Democrats to open up the government. And I've said, give us the votes to open up the government, then we'll have a conversation about some of these issues that you want to discuss. And I think healthcare is certainly something that we are anxious to talk about as well. And I think if giving them a potential vote on something in the future is a way for them to be able to go to their people and say this is something that we got in exchange to, then maybe that's what ultimately helps open up the government. But at the current time, none of this happens absent them voting to reopen the government. We understand, and I've said this all along, happy to have that conversation about some of these other issues, but open up the government first, quit taking it hostage, and let's get the American people and the federal workers, let's get them back to work.
Again, that's what passes for super exciting in South Dakota. Okay, so why doesn't J.D. Vance just call Schumer and say, here's the fig leaf, here's what you're going to get? I know the devil's in the details, and some Democrats would demand a more specificity. Some Democrats are even demanding a guarantee that it passes both chambers, which I've never heard of. That seems like an unrealistic demand. But why can't we know what the deal is? Why aren't they making the deal, Sean?
Look, you know where I stand on this. They should be jamming them on approps bills and doing this whole thing. I actually think this is ridiculous. My tactic at this point would be J.D. Vance should call Jeanne Shaheen and say, what will it take for you? Get her on board. Yeah. She probably brings two.
Yeah.
But don't go through Schumer. Break them apart as
100%. Form a gang and say, this is the best we can get you.
In fact, politically speaking, I would fracture the Democratic caucus by calling Jeanne Shaheen and saying, can you bring two friends over to the White House and basically isolate Schumer? Because that would really grate. I mean,
but ironically, that's better for Schumer because then he doesn't have to leave the cave and the base can still be
right.
For
and
Schumer.
He gets to, but he's not going to anyway.
Yeah. Dan, if the president or J.D. Vance or even Thune just said and they're having some of these talks, just say to Shaheen, as Sean said, bring four friends.
I think the problem is it's not our party that's fractured. It's the Republican Party because Speaker Mike Johnson will not in any way, shape, or form guarantee even allowing a vote in the House because the majority of the majority rule. The majority of Republicans do not want to touch this health care issue because they have no idea what they want to do. They know Democrats are going to win. They do not want to acknowledge the ACA in any way, shape, or form. So it's my understanding that the gang, such as it is in the Senate, has looked across and asked Mike Johnson, not for a guarantee for the outcome. They know the outcome because you're going to get all the Democrats and you'll probably get 50 to 60 Republicans.
Right.
The issue is Johnson won't do it. And this is why I keep saying this to you guys. It totally splits the Republican Party. We have all the momentum right now. Now, we may lose it by November 1st because of paychecks and everything. But right now, we got all the momentum and Republicans are totally divided. Totally.
Republicans are certainly divided on a bill about military pay. They're certainly divided on whether they should be in D.C. or not, right?
Yep, totally.
Are there other divisions, Dan, besides those two?
Oh, the ACA, the approach to ACA.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing, we've said it since August. This is the $1 million issue. And even Donald Trump, I think the question is, when does Trump kind of get involved here? Like, that's the real, because I think he's going to have to call Mike Johnson in and say,
he's busy. He's headed to the Middle East. He's a little busy.
They say that something that's easy is like a walk in the park. Well, easier than a walk in the park, hit the subscribe button, be part of the two-way community, never miss an episode, be part of our conversations. Thank you for your service to America.
And don't forget, you can now listen to the morning meeting and Two-Way Tonight on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.